Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Unfiltered and Functional. I'm your host, Mandy. I'm here with my girl, Sashi Baby.
Hello.
And today, I'm really excited about this one. Anybody that knows me knows how passionate I am about it. We're going to talk about blood work. We're going to talk about when fine isn't fine. When you're told that everything's normal, everything's fine, but you feel anything but fine. Because I think that's very common occurrence, unfortunately, for a lot of people with their lab work. Why is blood work important? Why? I think it's really important to understand when you get your labs done, everything is about context, everything is about patterns. And then from there, you can take a direction of addressing anything if it needs addressing. So, blood work is not going to give us all of the answers, but it is going to give us a really good foundation of where to look next or what might need further testing or just kind of if everything truly is okay. So, Sash, how many times have you been told your labs are fine, but it didn't really like align with how you were physically feeling or your real reality?
Huh. Every single time I did blood work, that wasn't with you. Every time I've done blood work, and not to be like, you always find a problem. No, you find things that Western medicine doesn't find. And just a really quick example of this, I got blood work done right before getting my BA surgery. It was about, I think, 2 weeks out from my surgery or so that I had to get my blood work done. And maybe a little bit longer, maybe 3 weeks. But regardless of the fact, I had just finished competing in a bodybuilding show and I didn't have my period. Like my period left about a month before my show, which is very normal as a competitor to like lose your period. When I got my blood work done, I did not have a period. I was prep lean. I knew that my cortisol was more elevated than usual because of being in prep. I got my results back, come go to the doctor so that I can get them checked before they approve me for the surgery. Yep, everything looks great. I'm like, how does everything look great if I don't have a cycle? But whatever. They were looking for like specific markers for me to get the surgery approval to make sure that there was nothing wrong for me to get surgery, but I vividly remember like sitting there and asking her like, "How are my hormones? Like, how are the hormone levels?" And she's like, "Yeah, everything's like within range. Like, it looks fine." And I was just sitting there and like just thinking to myself like, I don't have a period. I was just in a bodybuilding prep for almost 7 months and like 6, 7 months in an extreme deficit. I know that I'm lacking things because then when I took that blood work and like looked at it, I was like, yeah, within range, but my cortisol is higher than usual. My estrogen is low. My testosterone is like whatever, just like so, but that's like literally real life example where I was sitting in there and I was like, you're so full of shit. Like, you don't, but can't blame them for what they don't know, So, liar! It's not fine.
Yeah, I mean, thank you for sharing that. And I understand. And I mean, maybe we could like really stretch here and be like they needed them for surgery, so they're really wanting to make sure like there's no coagulation issues for blood. But yeah, at the end of the day, that's almost every doctor in a conventional or Western setting, unfortunately. So, yeah, it's happened to all of us. It's happened to myself as well. And I think that's kind of important also to like have the distinction between having blood work done with a conventional or Western doctor versus a functional based practitioner because the criteria for looking at labs is going to be completely different. We've discussed this before. Western medicine, they're looking at your labs and they're looking at things that should be either way out of range that will help them diagnose something or that will help them prescribe a medication. And so you could be like, quote unquote, within their parameters of what is normal and really what does normal mean at the end of the day, because they base that off the average population, which isn't the healthiest. Whereas functional medicine is going to look at what is going to be optimal. We're going to take a look at what is your baseline? What patterns can we identify based off of also like what is your biofeedback? What are you experiencing in life? And from there, we can really decide like what further testing is needed, if any. that's like a little sprinkling right there of that. But Sasha, I did want to carry the conversation over of when you started kind of adopting more of a functional approach to lab work. And when you started realizing how these labs could be interpreted differently, how did that help you shape the protocols that you were making for your clients as a coach?
I mean, that's a really good question. Once I was able to understand how to look at your blood work from a functional standpoint versus just what's in range, what's out of range, and like really focusing in on that, I was able to better also understand what real approaches to give my clients. Like not like a medicine or I mean I can't prescribe medicine, but like send them to a doctor because like they need to go on this for their certain labs. It's like the best way that I can explain it is when you see like certain problems, and especially if there's like patterns of those problems, it's like, all right, like we're looking at this or we're looking at that. Let's try this supplement. Let's try this. Let's incorporate this kind of food. Like I remember I had a level that like was disbalanced and you were like, "Hey, do you like seaweed? Like you should start eating a little bit more seaweed." Or like you should eat it was a Brazil nut, like a Brazil nut once or twice a day. I think it was my selenium.
Yeah, selenium for the
It was my
Brazil nut.
selenium.
Mhm.
Yeah, which was like such a minor thing, but because that was thrown off, some of my other numbers could have been a little bit off because of that. So really understanding that like, hey, this like looking at your blood work is not a end all be all. Now you have to go on medicine. Now you have to do this. It really helped me understand like, okay, maybe there are things that we need to focus on, the food choices, like not just protein, fats, and carbs, but making sure your minerals, your micronutrients, your sleep, your stress, things that are often overlooked are under control because once those things got under control, all of a sudden a lot of the lab work is in range. All
Yeah.
of a sudden, once we start taking our supplements, once we start taking our vitamins, once we start drinking a daily gut drink with an inositol and like making sure that things what we're consuming are for our bodies, like not just
Mhm.
very cookie cutter protocol, which is not something that I've ever done, but with lab work, it really lets me be like, all right, hey, we need to incorporate either this supplement or this kind of food. You don't eat red meat, beef liver. Like take a
Mhm.
beef liver supplement, like really specific. So that, really helped heal clients' health from the inside to then reflect on how they're feel and like it reflects on how they're feeling and it reflects on the outside
Mhm.
significantly.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I mean, arguably, I'd say it is so invaluable as a coach of any kind, but especially like if you're a bodybuilding coach, if you're going to be a functional health coach, if you're going to do more in-depth work with these clients, you really need to know what the heck you're looking at and what it means and how to interpret that data and stay within your scope of practice. It's really important to learn that. And something I also want to touch on as far as like conventional versus functional, I will be the first one to say I'm not going to bash doctors. I'm not trying to shit on them. It's a broken system. It is not the fault of any of these practitioners. Like you said at the beginning, Sasha, you only know what you know. And there is a time and place where in conventional medicine, lab work is great to be like, yeah, we need a diagnosis. We need it now. We need to figure out what's going on. But functional interpretation is more based on physiology and is what's optimal. Is are we at a place where like something's rising and we can intervene now and we can actually prevent, a diagnosis down the road? That's what we're really looking at because, just to kind of speak to what we touched on about doctors telling you you're fine and you don't feel fine, your labs from a conventional medicine standpoint can be within range. So you can still be within range by their standards and not ovulating. You could still be within range by their standards and feel exhausted. You could be losing hair. You could be not able to lose body fat. You could be
You
experiencing
can have a
anxiety,
lot of hormonal
all
acne,
of that.
depression.
Right. And by their standards, you're within range, even though you don't feel great. And that's where functional interpretation really comes in clutch. I've had a couple examples. Like, I've had a client come to me trying to conceive, and the doctor's like, yeah, everything's fine. Your labs are fine. And we ran an AMH, which is not one that I'll standard run for people unless they request it, just to look at like ovarian egg reserve. And she had lean PCOS, which isn't like a true PCOS, but it is something where like her eggs were not really maturing and they were like she had a
Mm,
lot coming up at once. None was maturing to the point where it could be released. And like there were other factors going on as far as like diet and nutrient deficiencies and all of that. But the doctors looked at her and told her, yeah, you're fine. There's like no really big reason here. Do you want to go on IVF? Which is a huge
mm.
undertaking hormonally. It's a huge undertaking emotionally. It it's a huge undertaking for your relationship, for your life as a whole. And they're like, yeah, well, we could, your labs are fine. You want to do IVF? And it's like, your labs aren't what I would term
Uh,
optimal, but there are also things that you can do now that are going to be way less invasive than IVF. And it's like, we can always start conservative and work your way towards that.
I
So
need to know
that's
what ended up happening. Did she conceive?
she did not seek as of right now because I'm not sure this was just a lab client, not like a one-to-one.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, she's took some of the suggestions and was doing more research and like going to try and make those changes on her own. That's the last that I heard.
Because I remember that you had another client that you were working with, and then like she wanted to get pregnant, and like you guys incorporated certain things, and then she did end up getting pregnant. I remember you
Yeah.
talking about
Yeah,
that.
like four
Yeah,
months
that was
later.
yeah, that's wild.
I
And like
love
she was
that.
also like on that like, do I need to freeze
Mhm.
my eggs? Like, what do I need to do? Like, how do IVF? Like, whatever. And then it was certain lifestyle changes that made her body optimal and like healthier.
100%. And like that's the cool thing about it because I'm like, do you want to spend thousands of dollars and your hormonal sanity on IVF if you don't need to when you could just make a couple like lifestyle alterations over 4 months and then get pregnant naturally and like optimally? So it's just like that's the cool part of it for me. So like that, yeah, that was a cool story. I forgot I
I thought
told
that
you
that's
about
who
that
you
one.
were that I
Yeah.
thought that that's who you were talking about. That's only why I
Oh
asked.
yeah. No, this was another case, but I just bring that up because I think preconception health has been more
Overlooked.
prevalent. I've been seeing like a lot more of it on social media, like women in their 30s and 40s trying to get pregnant, struggling to get pregnant, going through IVF. And like again, guys, I'm also not knocking IVF. I'm just advocating for maybe there are easier things to start with. And if that doesn't work, yeah, sure try IVF. I'm not here to tell you how to live your life. You do what's best for you. I just want to also offer a new perspective that just because your doctor says this is fine, but you're not getting pregnant, maybe there's something else that we can look at and try that instead. And all it costs you is a little bit of time and effort versus thousands of dollars off the bat. So, like, kind of weigh that out.
And
That's
even with, and I don't wanna go down the rabbit hole, but even with investing those thousands of dollars off the bat, if you are still not healthy and if your body is not optimal and if your body cannot hold, uh, make, hold, and carry to term a baby, it won't happen. I know that that is not something that people want to hear, but yeah, your body needs to be healthy in order to
Mhm.
create and
Mhm.
hold and nourish and support another life inside of you.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I'm gonna try
So
not to
like
go down
that
the
that's to anyone that like is planning on going on IVF. Like it's not just you go on IVF, it's you still support your body while doing that
right.
in
Yeah.
other ways as well, because it's not just a magic pill. It's kind of like the weight loss meds that we were talking about. You can't just do that without supporting your health while you do that,
Right.
because then it's contradicting
I agree. Definitely agree. I mean, as with any kind of intervention, if that's
anything.
what works for you, great, go ahead, but also understand that you're going to have a lot better success if you do support with those foundations. And yeah, we're going to have to do a whole other episode on like preconception health and pregnancy because like I
I'm
feel
here for it.
so
I'm here for
passionate
it.
about that. I mean, I personally, I have made the decision with my fiance, we're not going to have kids, but I feel so passionate about like women that want to have kids and are like having difficulty. Man, if only the doctors took this approach, we could make it so much easier for women, especially like emotionally, because it is an emotional process. But I'm gonna get off that soapbox.
Yeah. Drop in the
And
comments if that is a podcast that you want to hear about because we're here for it.
yeah, definitely. Oh, I would love to get into that. Yeah, please comment if you guys want to hear anything like that, preconception health. Yeah, love to run that, but we're
I'll
not
be
going to
co-
run it.
I'll be commenting on that.
Yeah, and it's not to say we won't do these episodes, but guys, if you comment on them, they will be prioritized. So,
Yes.
just food for thought. But something I also wanted to touch on because you and I have had this conversation before, and I've also had this conversation with other people. I'm going to ask it like this. What do you think scares people more? Bad lab results, potentially, or just no answers? Like, because I remember there was a time where you were like, yeah, I don't want to run them because I don't want to know right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that bad answers scare people more because what they don't know, they don't know. So it's like
Mhm.
one of those things like if I don't know, then I have nothing to worry about kind of thing. Or like if
Mhm.
I don't know, I don't have to take the personal responsibility and the action. Because let's put it this way, your lab results, it is your body. It is literally a reflection of what is happening in your body. And when you see lab results that aren't great, like, man, you honestly, the reason why I always do blood work with you is because you do such a great job of being like, hey, we have this problem and this problem, but here's the solution. This is not an end all be all. This is just now we know so we can fix it. And once I started approaching lab work like that with myself and like giving my clients that perspective of like, hey, it's not like this is not a test of what's wrong with like where you fucked up or like what's wrong with you. This is simply we need to know what's going on internally so we know how to fix it, how to solve it, how to optimize it, how to make it better. It is not you're gonna get freaking slapped on the hands for having the lab work that you have. It's we just need to see what's going on. Otherwise, we don't know. And I think a lot of people are just scared to see what's going on because, like I said, personal responsibility, acknowledging that they have to take action. And if anyone who's listening to this has ever gone to the doctor, gotten lab works done, got told everything's fine when they did not feel fine, there's almost like that fear of I don't want to get told that I'm fine again when I don't feel fine. Or like I don't trust that there will actually be a solution because when I went to the doctor, there wasn't a solution. And I, like you said earlier, don't want to be shitting on doctors. I am not at all. I very much respect their work and their practice, but they only know so much and they only know what they're told. So, number out of range, here's a medicine. Number in range, you're good. They don't look deeper than that. A lot of them don't look deeper than that. And that's the difference with functional medicine is that they do look deeper than that. We do look deeper than that. And when you don't know what's going on, it's easier to just like brush off what's going on rather than try to make a solution. And when you brush things off, you only make the problem bigger. So I think people are just more scared to see the results rather than like see bad blood work than anything.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And
And
I
you
was
made,
that person. Clearly,
yeah,
you literally
I know.
you put me on the spot. Yeah, I didn't want to do my blood work because I had like such a high stress time and just such a difficult time in my life that I was like, I'm not going to be happy with what I see, so I don't want to see it.
Yeah. And I appreciated that honesty. But
And I ended up doing blood work a month later because I was like, I can't, this is not
yeah.
like that is just not me. Like I'm not,
Hmm.
I'm
Yeah.
not that
Well,
person that's going to hide from what's going on because it's
yeah,
what's going on with me.
right. And I think that's a really important distinction that you shared and made because when I go over labs with people, I will tell them straight up, like, based off of what you're telling me your experience is, what I'm seeing in your blood work, it makes sense. Your level being XYZ, where it
Because
is.
yeah,
Yeah. And that is the thing. It is a one-time snapshot of where you currently are in your health. It is not an end all be all. And oftentimes we make interventions and you run labs later, like a few months down the road, and they're markedly improved as long as you stick with those interventions. And that is one of the biggest things that I tell people when I do labs for them. I'm like, hey, this isn't exactly where we want it right now, but it's okay. because you can literally do something about it. Or if I see a pattern, actually, you know what? I'm just going to dive right into that. I'm going to dive into talking about a couple real life client examples. And I am forever grateful for the people that do come to me for labs. I genuinely love running them and interpreting them and helping people find direction. And a couple of the most memorable ones for me that I really loved, aside from, Sasha bringing up the lovely lady that was able to conceive like 4 months after we did lab work and change a few things. I've had a handful of these where women will come to me and say, I've been trying to lose body fat for like 3 to 5 years. And all that happens is I keep gaining weight. I'm eating less. I'm working out. I'm doing cardio. What is going on here? We run labs on them. I run a full comprehensive panel. So typically, your doctor is going to run TSH to look at your thyroid, which is kind of bizarre to me because TSH is a pituitary hormone. It's a brain hormone messenger. It is not actually a thyroid hormone. So that doesn't actually adequately represent your thyroid health. So I run a full thyroid panel and I see their TPO-AB, which is a marker, an antibody marker. A couple in particular individuals I'm thinking of, and ideally we want this TPO-AB marker to be less than 10. When it starts creeping up a little bit, it doesn't necessarily mean anything bad. It just might mean they're a little stressed. There's some inflammation that needs to be addressed. But when I start seeing numbers that are 120, when I see a number that's off the charts, they can't even calculate it, and it was greater than 800, I'm like, okay, I'm not a physician. I acknowledge that. I operate within my scope of practice. I can't give you a diagnosis. That's when I look at these individuals and I'm like, hey, you need to go to your doctor, have them do follow-up work, show them these labs, have them do follow-up work. This is really patterning to look like Hashimoto's in addition to the rest of your lab work. I can't diagnose you. I don't want you to be freaked out. And that's something else I'll tell them because you can also put Hashimoto's in remission. There is always something that we can do. Even if you do require medication, it's totally fine. We work with it. And I'm like, this makes sense that you weren't able to lose body fat because you've had undiagnosed Hashimoto's for the last half decade. It's going to be hard to lose body fat if you don't have your ducks in a row for your lifestyle. And if those antibody markers stay that elevated, yeah, it's going to be almost impossible. So sure enough, go to the doctor, get the diagnosis, get put on levothyroxine, which is T4. So that's usually a first line that doctors do. It's just one of those where it's like, had we not done functional blood work, they probably would have gone the next 5-10 years without having any idea at all that they had this diagnosis and that they could change something about it. And then they could actually lose the body fat that they put on. So that was pretty cool to see with them. And like, I still work with some of these individuals and just the actual progress. It's so, I don't know, it's so fulfilling. It's not about me, but like helping people understand that like they're not crazy. There is an explanation for that. And how many times they went to the doctor and the doctor's like, yeah, your TSH is fine. And the whole time they had something wrong with their thyroid, or not wrong, I should say dysfunctional. They had something dysfunctional and it could have been
Not
addressed.
optimized.
Yes. Commonly I also see a lot of like nutrient deficiencies, which is huge and people don't really think about it. And one I'm going to share is, and I did not run this lab work. This individual came to me with the lab work and they were like, yeah, so they basically told me that I have iron deficiency anemia, but they're sending me to a cardiologist to get follow-up work because I have heart palpitations and I've been fainting. And this person's iron would like the full iron panel, all of the markers, not just ferritin, but like serum iron, binding capacity, all of them, like in the toilet, in the shitter. Excuse my language, but it was horrendous. And I'm like looking at it and I'm like, again, not a doctor, can't diagnose, but if you're willing to dig a little deeper and connect some dots, most likely not having palpitations and not fainting because you have a heart problem. Your iron is so severely low. Your iron is what carries oxygen throughout your body. So if you don't have enough iron and you're exerting yourself, yeah, no wonder you're fainting. You're not getting enough oxygen. No wonder
Yeah.
your heart is like beating irregular. You don't have enough oxygen. And she was even having visual changes. And it's like, man, do you need to go to the cardiologist? Like, yes, I think you should just to be safe on the safe side. But do you need
Yeah.
like heart medications? No, we need to get your iron level up. What?
90% of the time, it will improve by simply addressing the root problem and not just bandaging it up with more medication that will probably not help elevate that iron in any way, shape, or form.
Right. Those are like honestly a couple of my favorite ones that I've done to date. I've done so many, but it just boggles my mind how many years and how many people could have more symptomatic relief if there were better education out there for our conventional practitioners to interpret these labs and to really dig deeper and look for the optimization. So many people could get relief. So many people could be living healthier lifestyles. And okay, this also blows my mind. I have to throw this in here. Doctors can prescribe you a certain diet. They can prescribe you exercise. How many times have they actually done that though?
I've never gotten it.
Even when I was heavier and I would do my annual gynae visit and I would do my annual like workups because I was in nursing. I can't even tell you how many times the doctors would be like, okay, well, you're a little overweight. And they would try and say it like in a nice way. And they'd be like, you're a little overweight. So like just, good luck on that. Try and eat better. Like that was basically the advice I got. And now I'm like, wait, you could have quote unquote written me a prescription to like see a dietitian. You could have written me a prescription to be like, hey, we need to like give you like an exercise routine and like learn about that. And it blows my mind that that is so underutilized.
Overlooked.
Yes.
Overlooked and underused.
What? What? Okay, I'm gonna step down. But okay. I'm gonna wrap this up because otherwise I'm gonna go bonkers on a tangent here. To wrap this up and kind of highlight when blood work is really, really important, especially like you should get it done, in my opinion, at least twice a year, minimum once a year. And that's if like your previous set of labs was like crystal beautiful and you didn't need to do anything, then once a year, fine. But if you know that something has been off and you're working on it, minimally twice a year. And if you're experiencing any of the following, this is especially when you should definitely get blood work with a functional coach or practitioner. If you're having,
Mandy.
did you hear that? Oh, yeah. Yeah, Mandy. Thanks for the
She's
plug.
gonna put the link in the show notes.
I will most certainly do that. But definitely get blood work if you are having irregular or painful periods or no period when you should be having one. If you're not pregnant and you don't have a period, let's do some blood
We have a
work.
problem.
If you have weight loss resistance, so the young women that came to me that hadn't been able to lose weight no matter what they tried for the last like 5, 10 years, that's when we should run like a full set of labs. If you have chronic fatigue or unexplained anxiety, like out of nowhere, where you're feeling
Mm.
anxious, this could be either a hormonal imbalance or a nutrient deficiency. Easy fix. Or I should say
Or
simple
both.
fix, a little bit not as easy to apply if you're not ready to make a lifestyle change, but fixable nonetheless. Hair
Fixable.
loss, infertility, without like an explanation or coming off of birth control. Any
That's a bit.
autoimmune symptoms that you have, even whether it's diagnosed or not. If you have symptoms, let's see some blood work. Let's see if there's another direction we could take it. Or if you have a history of extreme dieting and are trying to kind of like change that around, or if you're a bodybuilder. And I would say most bodybuilders are good about this if they're working with a reputable coach, which is excellent. Keep it up. Good work. Good work, athletes. But end of the day, labs do not need to be scary or overwhelming at all. If you choose to work with me, that means you get a full functional interpretation, you get a whole write up. We take an hour call so you fully understand what is going on in your lab works. You have time to ask questions. And even if you don't want to run a full panel with me, that's fine. I also offer services where I'll interpret external or exogenous labs, like from your own doctor or another practitioner. And just to clarify, I do not diagnose anything medically. And when I do these lab interpretations, it is a collaboration between the two of us, meant to be educational, meant to be empowering for you,
And
for
it is
your health.
extremely empowering, may I
Thank you. So, if you've ever been told that your labs are normal or your labs are fine, but you feel like a pile of shit, this is why I do the
add?
lab analysis. So, as Sasha said, I will link this in the show notes for
Please
anybody
do.
that is curious. Sash, before we sign off, any little nuggets you want to add?
Whether you feel great or you feel shitty, having lab work is, and having your lab work done is freedom. Like knowing what is going on internally is the solution to probably every single problem that you can have. Like Mandy said, anxiety. Literally, it goes all the way down to having anxiety, having acne, having anything goes down to what's going on internally. And it will also fixing what's going on internally will reflect on you externally. And there is nothing more empowering than feeling good, or at least knowing that you are taking the steps and actively doing the work to get better. So, blood work is just something that should not even be thought about. It should be something that is so, yes, I'm doing this. Yes, I'm getting this done. There is just no question about it. And, I don't want people to think, oh, because you guys are friends, you're recommending Mandy because you guys are like, work together and do these things, or she's paid. I'm not getting paid for this.
It's not in the
I am
budget.
simply, no, exactly. No commission is being made here, all right? But this is simply when I believe in something and see the worth and see the value and am walking, living proof of the benefits of fixing so many things internally because of doing blood work with you, with Mans. I speak for myself, I speak for my clients who have done blood work with her. We see the problem, we get a solution. We find a solution. We make a solution. We fix it. That is just the way that it works. So if you are hesitant about getting blood work, if you are scared to see what's there, put your big boy pants on, put on your lucky underwear when you go get your blood work done, and you will be a-okay, because it is worse to not know and then in 10 years your health starts crashing down and then you have no choice but to take care of your health. Take care
Mhm.
of it now.
Play the offensive. Don't wait to be on defense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
play the game of I'm not going to wait until I'm forced to take care of my health, because it's either that or just, God forbid, any like very serious things, which could come from something as simple as like the case of having a very intense iron deficiency and her heart was hurting
Mhm.
because there wasn't enough oxygen traveling. Like it's little things that aren't fixed that then can then transform into bigger problems when there's enough little things that are bad.
Yeah.
Not bad, but not optimal. So
Mhm.
that's my last bit of nugget is get blood work done. You will never regret it. You will only reap the benefits of it.
Thank you. Thank you, Sasha. Thank you for
And get them
joining.
done with Mandy if you didn't get the memo. If you didn't get the memo, like
Guys, I promise she is not paid. But I really appreciate her passion for my passion and seeing the benefit of it because I've worked really, really hard to make sure this is something very valuable and very useful because even as a nurse, for the amount of times I was told that I was fine, when I very clearly was not, quote unquote, fine. I am very passionate about this, and I've gone out of my way to seek more education outside of what I just learned from nursing school because it really doesn't cover what you need to learn about everything. So, that's all I have for you guys today. Again, I'll be dropping in the show notes any information if you want to reach out and inquire about lab work, or if you just have questions about how it's done. Start the conversation, get that rolling,
you
and we
for
will
having
see
me.
you on the next one.